Blue ocean, golden sand, green palm trees, fresh fruit. This place is like a paradise. It's good that Luke finally went on vacation. He's sunbathing, drinking cocktails, and enjoying life. Such a perfect day. Maybe too perfect. Luke's smile disappears. Nothing is real. Two signs indicate that Luke is dreaming right now. What are these signs? The first thing is that there are two suns in the sky. The second sign is that the ocean has no waves. Luke gets scared. He realizes he's sleeping. At this moment, a giant kraken comes out of the ocean. It stretches huge tentacles towards Luke and screams out like a siren. How can Luke escape from it? Where should he run? There's no need to run anywhere. This is a dream, and the kraken can help Luke wake up. The monster grabs the guy, and he opens his eyes and realizes he's in a laboratory. He was caught a few days ago. A group of people have been conducting strange experiments on him all this time. It wasn't the kraken he heard. It was a real siren. Flashing red lights illuminate the lab. The room itself is a mess. Lots of stuff on the floor, overturned tables. There are no people, only pictures of some scientists on the wall. There should be a key to the door among all these documents and garbage. Quickly, help Luke find it and escape. And the key is hidden. Not here. It's not needed. The door isn't locked. See? Luke is about to leave the lab. But wait, what does he need to take with him? Look around the room. He can only take one item. Luke should opt for the shoes. They're going to be useful outside. Luke puts on a pair of boots and gets out of the lab. He's in a long corridor. He sees several guards ahead. They start chasing after him. Luke runs away in the opposite direction. There are 3 ways in front of him. One corridor is filled with toxic gases. The second way is a bottomless dark abyss. The third corridor is so hot that the walls are glowing red. What should Luke choose? The second hall with the chasm. See how the light gets reflected from the abyss? This means there's a glass floor covering it, and Luke can walk on it. Luke runs through the second hall and finds himself trapped. Several guards are standing there and everyone is looking at him. It seems like there's no chance of getting out, but wait a minute, the guards are not dangerous. Why? They're motionless because they're either well-done wax figures or real people who can't move for some reason. Luke leaves the room, and now he's in a long corridor again. The doors close behind him, guards are rushing towards him from the hall, and doctors are running from the other direction. What should Luke do? Hurry up, help the guy before they notice him. Do you see a laundry basket? There are white coats there. Luke should dress up as a doctor and walk past the guards. The guy enters one of the many doors and finds himself in a large room for experiments. This is where they keep their test subjects. There are several locked cells with people sitting inside. They ask Luke to release them. Unfortunately, he can only free one prisoner. But who? A werewolf is locked in that cell. An electrical human is in another. A seemingly ordinary girl is locked in the third one. In the furthest cage, there's a guy with a shark's mouth. Luke should save the girl. Come on, all the other prisoners are scary monsters. Did you expect a trick? Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one. Luke opens the cell. The girl's name is Jessie, but she doesn't want to go with Luke. She doesn't believe him. Why? Because Luke is wearing a lab coat, he explains to Jessie that he put on these clothes to remain unnoticed. He's as much of a prisoner here as she is. Jessie finally believes him. Together, they escape from the lab, but the guards and scientists notice them. Our heroes are trapped. There are 3 rooms in front of them. An electrical current is running non-stop through the first one. 3 ferocious lions are in the second room. There's a fire raging in the third one. How should Luke and Jessie escape? They don't have to enter any of these rooms. In the corridor above them, there is an open ventilation hatch. These guys should help each other get in there. They crawl through the vent for a few minutes. Finally, they reach the elevators. But the heads of 2 creatures have got stuck in the elevator doors. One of them is a werewolf. The other is a zombie. Jessie and Luke can only save one of them. Who will survive without their help? The guys save the werewolf because the zombie is no longer alive anyway. He can survive even without his head. The werewolf runs away while Luke and Jessie get into the elevator. The laboratory is located deep underground, so they go 40 floors up. The doors open, and they find themselves inside an old hut. Our heroes go outside and see a winter forest. Jessie and Luke run forward as fast as they can. They hear dogs barking and people screaming. The scientists are chasing them. The guys come to a crossroads. The first way leads to a lake. At the beginning of the second road, there's a sign, "Beware of wolves." The third road leads to a high cliff. Where should they go? It's winter now, so the lake is frozen. Luke and Jessie run across the lake and find themselves in a clearing. 2 guys are standing there. Both of them seem normal. They ask Luke and Jessie if they can come along. Luke feels that one of the guys is not who he claims to be. How can he figure out which one it is? If you pay attention to the footprints in the snow, you'll see how this guy appeared here, but there are no footprints near the second guy. How did he get here? It's suspicious. Jessie and Luke agree to take along the first guy. His name is Max. He says he's also escaped from the lab. He knows there's a road somewhere nearby, so they decide to find it. They wander through the forest for several hours. No one seems to be chasing them anymore. But now, they have a new problem. They're cold and hungry. Sometime later, they see a small house where they can warm up. But the door is locked. Where's the key? See this scarecrow next to the forest? The key is in its hand. The guys open the door and find food and clothes. They rest, eat, and get warmer. Soon, they're ready to set off. There's an old car in the backyard. There's even some gasoline in its tank. But when Luke is driving it out of the yard, the car runs over a nail. The tire is punctured. Now they have to walk again. It's getting darker and colder. Despite warm clothes, our guys start freezing. How can our heroes keep warm? There are old dry leaves, moss, and grass under the snow. Luke, Jessie, and Max put all this inside their clothes. Yeah, they stain their t-shirts and sweaters, but they also create an additional layer of protection against the cold. Finally, they're near the edge of the forest. Through tree branches, the guys see a road illuminated by moonlight. They're saved. Now they only need to catch a car. Max, Luke, and Jessie walk along the highway and finally see headlights. Luke raises his arm to stop the car. A small pickup truck is slowing down. The driver rolls down the window and asks if the guys need help. Jessie quickly tells him everything that has happened to them. The driver asks them to get in the car, but Luke doesn't want to. He's sure that this man is one of the bad guys. How has Luke figured it out? When Luke woke up in the lab, he paid attention to the pictures of the scientists on the wall. This driver is one of them. The guys run back into the forest where they come across a pack of wolves. The hungry animals surround our heroes. One of the wolves is about to attack, but a loud howl scares it, and it runs away. A monster covered with fur comes out of the bushes. Max screams and is about to run away, but Jesse and Luke look calm. Why? Because this is the werewolf our heroes rescued from the elevator. They follow the monster. It leads them to a safe place. This is a small village hidden deep in the forest. Creatures that don't look like humans live here. Werewolves, bird people, merfolk, and humanoid trees. They used to be people, but the scientists changed the structure of their DNA. Now these creatures are going to destroy the laboratory to take revenge. While Luke, Jesse, and Max are resting, you have time to check your score and find out how useful you've been in this adventure. 0 to 3 points. Luke wouldn't have gotten out of the lab if he had listened to you. It's still difficult for you to get out of tricky situations. Maybe you were too nervous. Or perhaps you should work on your ability to focus. 4 to 7 points. You've been helping the guys get out of trouble pretty well, but still, this is not enough to become a team leader. You'll definitely get better after a little more practice. 8 to 11 points. You can find a way out of almost any difficult situation and deal with any problem. Just a bit more, and you will become a perfect leader. 12 to 15 points. You're a real hero. You can successfully overcome any difficulties and lead large groups of people. Don't lose your focus. It'll help Luke and his friends in their next adventures. 16 to 17 points. You're the best of the best. Problems don't scare you. They entertain you.
Alrighty, it's Math O'Clock here, and I have a couple of fun riddles for you to solve. Let's start with a cheesy one. Here's a circle. How many sides does the circle have? There are two, the inside and the outside. It was Aviana's birthday, and she went to buy herself an ebook she'd been dreaming about. The ebook and the case cost $150 in total. If the ebook was $100 more expensive than the case, how much did each item cost? Alright, let's say the case cost X. Then, the ebook cost X plus 100. Together, they cost $150. So X, the case, plus X plus 100, the ebook, are equal to 150. Now, solve the equation. 2x's equal to 150 minus 100, or 50. So 1x is equal to 25. So the case cost $25 and the ebook cost $125. Well, that adds up. Now, to celebrate her birthday, Aviana wants to go to the movies. She has two friends whom she wants to take with her. A movie ticket costs $8. What is cheaper? Go to the movies with each friend separately or with the two of them together? Of course, it's cheaper to go with the two of them together. If she goes there 2 times separately with each friend, she'll have to buy a ticket for herself twice. So she'll buy 4 tickets. But if they go together, she will only buy 3 tickets.
Yes!
5 friends met for the first time in 5 years. Each one shook hands with each person in the group, but only once. How many handshakes were made? No handshakes were repeated. Let's see it like this. The first friend shook the hands of the 4 remaining people once. Then the second friend had already shared a handshake with the first person, so they shook hands with 3 more people. The third friend had shaken hands with the first 2, so he shook hands with 2 more people. And then, finally, friends 4 and 5 shook hands too. 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 10. So there were 10 handshakes. Brinley has to sneak into her mom's computer to delete some emails she had accidentally sent her. Ooh. Mom has a poor memory, so she always has notes with her passcodes. Luckily, the note is right on the desk again. What's the passcode? Every number equals the number of circles in it, so the last number is equal to 3. It's a 5-digit number, so try 82193. Danica and Elora are best friends who live in different parts of town but study in the same college. Every morning they leave their houses at the same time and first meet at a cafe to drink some coffee before classes. Danica goes there by car and Elora goes by bike. When they met, which girl was closer to Elora's home? When they meet, they're in the same spot, so no one is closer than the other one. Mrs. Marshall owns a factory that produces office desks. 4 workers can build 4 desks in 4 hours. If she hires 4 more people, how many desks will 8 workers produce in 8 hours? If 4 workers produce 4 desks in 4 hours, it means that each worker produces 1 desk in 4 hours. So 8 workers will produce 8 desks in 4 hours, or 16 desks in 8 hours. Maya has 4 pens, a blue one, a black one, a red one, and a green one. They lay on the table in some order. Here are some hints. 1. The green one is somewhere in the middle. 2. The blue one is to the left of the black one and to the right of the red one. 3. The red pen is right next to the blue one. So, what's the order of the pens? Green is somewhere in the middle. Since blue has some other colors on both sides of it, it means it's in the middle too. Let's decide which one is where. If the green pen is in position 2, then the blue one takes position 3. We know that the blue one is on the left of the black one, so black takes position 4, and red must be in position 1. But it doesn't fit, because the last condition is that the red and blue ones are next to each other. So, let's switch the green and blue. Now blue is right next to red, but is still to the left of black. So the right order is red, blue, green, black. Yvonne cuts 1 baguette into 4 pieces in 12 seconds. How much time will she need to cut the same baguette into 8 pieces? "28 seconds. To cut a baguette into 4 pieces, she must make 3 cuts. If it takes her 12 seconds to make 3 cuts, it means that she makes 1 cut in 4 seconds. So, if she now wants to cut it into 8 pieces, she needs to make 7 cuts. So, 7 cuts, 4 seconds each, would take 28 seconds. Ellery came back home with her term grades. She got all A's but 3, all B's but 4, and all C's but 5. So, how many A's, B's, and C's did she get? Let's start with A's. They are all but 3, so there are 3 B's and C's together, which is either 2 C's and 1 B or 2 B's and 1 C. Let's start with the first option. If it's the case, there are 4 A's and C's. If there are 2 C's, then she has 2 A's too, also. The condition all C's but 5 tells us that if there's 1 B, there must also be 4 A's, not 2. So it can't be. If there are 2 B's and 1 C, then from all B's but 4 and 1 C, there are 3 A's. From all C's but 5 and 2 B, there again must be 3 A's. So he has 3 A's, 2 B's, and 1 C. Nice work, Ellery! You are outside a room with 3 switches in the off position. One of the switches turns on the light bulb in the room. You can turn on as many switches as you want, but you can only walk into the room once. How can you find out which switch turns on the light? Turn 2 random switches on and wait a couple of minutes. Then turn one of them off and walk into the room. If the light is still on, then the controlling switch is the one you left in the on position. If there's no light, touch the light bulb. If it's hot, then the controlling switch is the one you just turned off. If the light bulb is cold, that switch is the one you didn't turn on. Every Sunday, Mrs. Adams gives her daughters pocket money. Half of the whole amount goes to the oldest daughter, Stella. The second sister, Ashley, gets half of the amount Stella gets. Eleanor gets 1/6 of the total amount, and the remaining $10 goes to the youngest daughter, Sierra. How much money does Mrs. Adams give away? Seems like Stella gets 1/2 of the money, Ashley gets half of a half, which is 1/4 of the original sum, and Eleanor gets 1/6. They're all a fraction of 12s. So Ella gets 6 12s, Ashley gets 3 12s, and Eleanor gets 3 12s. Together, it's 11 12s, which means that Sierra gets 1/12, which is $10. So Stella gets $60, Ashley gets $30, Eleanor gets $20, and the whole sum is $120. Hey, if I were Sierra, I would complain. Annabeth is going by train to visit her best friend, Brooke. The train is 500 feet long, and it's moving at a speed of 500 feet a minute, and it's now traveling through a 500-foot-long tunnel. How long will it take for the train to go through the tunnel? When the train goes into the tunnel, it will take exactly 1 minute for its head to reappear on the other side. But the rest of the train should get out of there too. Once the head of the train is out, the back of the train just entered the tunnel, and it'll need another minute to travel through the tunnel. So the train will need 2 minutes in total. An elf hired a fairy to take care of his garden for a week. As a daily payment, the fairy takes 1 inch of a candy cane. The elf has a 7-inch candy cane in one piece, but the fairy wants to be paid every day because fairies don't trust elves. The elf has a knife that can only make 2 cuts. How can he manage? He should make 2 cuts and divide the candy cane into the pieces of 1/7, 2/7, and 4/7. The first day, he'll give her the 1/7 piece. The second day, he'll give her the 2/7 piece, and will take the 1/7 piece back. After the third day, he will give her the 1/7 piece back. After the fourth day, he gets back the 1/7 piece and 2/7 pieces and gives her 1/4/7 piece instead. Then he gives her 1/7. On the sixth day, instead of 1/7, she gets the 2/7 piece, and on the last day, he gives her the final 1/7 piece. Of course, this whole thing goes kablooey if the fairy eats the candy during the week. Well, it's the fairy's grandpa's birthday today. She wants to visit him and bring him birthday candy canes. Her grandpa lives in a different town, and there are 3 gates to cross on the way. At every gate, there is a guard. To cross, the fairy has to pay a fee of half of the candy cane she has, but she gets 1 candy cane back. What's the minimum number of candy canes the fairy should take from home to make sure she arrives at her grandpa's with 2 candy canes for him? She should take just 2. At every gate, she'll have to give away half, which is 1, and she'll be getting that one back. Ooh, tasty!
Fred was a young scientist looking for a dream job. His favorite professor, Mr. Ford, always worked in his lab alone. But one day, he made an exception and invited Fred to assist him in a secret research project. When Fred arrived at the lab, he found Mr. Ford unconscious on the floor. His colleagues said that halfway through his latest experiment, the lights went out. James, Dylan, and Ashley were nearby. James said he was Mr. Ford's lab assistant. When the lights went out, it was too dark to see what was happening. Dylan said he'd been looking through some documents in his office nearby. And Ashley said she'd been cleaning the lab. Who's lying? James, Mr. Ford always worked alone. Fred was his first and only assistant. When Mr. Ford got better, he offered Fred a job in a big company making robotic dogs. But first, Fred had to do one logical task. There are 3 drawers with pills in Mr. Ford's lab. One of them contains only blue pills, another only red pills, and the third drawer has both blue and red pills. All the boxes are labeled incorrectly. Fred can only take one pill from one of the drawers to find out the color of the pills in each drawer. How can he do that? To label the drawers correctly, Fred should take a pill from the drawer that supposedly contains both blue and red pills. Since we know that all labels are incorrect, this drawer must contain either only red pills or only blue pills. If Fred finds a red pill, he should label that drawer as red. Then change the name on the red drawer to blue, and label the remaining drawer as red and blue. Fred texted his girlfriend Sarah to tell her the good news about his new job. He asked her out for dinner, but she answered, "Hey, I woke up with the flu. I don't want to infect you. I'd rather stay at home and rest." Fred video called her and realized she was lying as soon as she answered the call. How did the guy understand it? Look at her bed. It seems that she's getting ready to go out tonight. Also, why would she wear high heels if she wanted to stay at home? Fred was very upset and decided to follow Sarah. He saw her eating dinner with another man in a fancy restaurant. Fred approached their table and exclaimed, "Sarah, who's this man?" Sarah said he was her father. Fred took a look at the man and believed her. Why? They have the same rare eye color and similar moles under their right eyes. On the first day of work, Fred came to his office. It was full of guard robotic dogs. They were taught to react to every movement. Suddenly, the dogs went out of control. They tore the lab down. Luckily, Fred managed to hide. He needed to escape as soon as possible. Fred noticed 3 objects: a bat, a water gun, and a small ball. Which object should he use to escape? He could choose the bat to fight the dogs, but there are too many of them. He could pick the water gun, but it's small and pretty much useless. But this small ball is the right choice. It'll distract the dogs, and Fred will be able to escape. After that unfortunate incident with the robotic dogs, Fred went to another job interview. He decided to become a hotel manager. The hotel owner asked Fred to crack a riddle. He wanted to check his logical skills. What's black when you get it, red when you use it, and white when you're through with it? Fred nailed the riddle and got the job. What did he answer? Charcoal. Fred started his work. A new guest arrived. This guest was very unusual because it was a giraffe. Can you help Fred find the best room for this animal? For the giraffe, the best option is the room with the larger door. Another hotel guest, Shelley, called Fred from her room. She was crying. Someone had stolen her expensive dress. She needed it for a birthday party. Shelley was sure it was one of the hotel employees. Who else could get it without damaging the lock? What do you think? Who stole the dress? There's a silver bead by the bed. The criminal didn't notice they had dropped it during the heist. And this maid has a bracelet with the same beads. Fred went to check the laundry room. He found his colleague Ashley unconscious on the floor. The police examined the crime scene and interviewed people who had been to the laundry room the night before. Alice said, "I came at 7:30 p.m. There were no other people in the laundry. When I was about to leave, another woman came in." Helen said, "I came there at 9:15 p.m. There was nothing special about that day. I just washed my clothes and left." And Sally said, "I'm blind. I don't know if there was anybody in that room when I was inside." Who's the criminal? Helen. Trying to protect herself, Ashley pulled an earring out of her ear. Next day, Fred faced another crime at work. Someone had stolen some food supplies from the warehouse at night. The stockman called Fred first thing in the morning. Look at these 2 pictures of the warehouse. Can you spot which food had been stolen? Right, and some more. Fred questioned 3 employees who had worked the night shift. Alice said, "I was preparing a monthly report in my office. I never go to the warehouse anyway." Dan said, "I was at the register all night. There were lots of customers. I wouldn't have had time to go to the warehouse." And Jenny said, "I was flipping burgers. I didn't leave the kitchen." Who stole the food? Look at the footprints in the warehouse. One set belongs to the stockman, and the other belongs to the thief. The accountant and the cook are females. They wouldn't leave such footprints. It means Dan is lying. He did go to the warehouse. A delivery guy bought 2 paintings to decorate hotel rooms. Fred refused to pay for these pictures and returned them, all because the paintings were supposed to be identical. Can you see 3 differences between them? Here they are. Suddenly, one of the hotel guests ran down from the 2nd floor screaming. She saw a ghost in her room. Fred hurried to the room. Can you help him find the ghost? It's this guy. He's too transparent to be human. 2 brothers, Stan and Chuck, met for a quiet birthday party in the hotel restaurant. The cook asked how many candles she should put on the cake. The birthday guy, Chuck, answered, "When Stan was 6 years old, I was half his age. If Stan is 40 now, how old am I? How many candles should the cook put on the cake?" That's right, 37. Fred had an interesting conversation with one of the guests, Mr. Wilson. It turns out that the man once worked as a NASA scientist. He promised Fred he'd help him join a space program. But first, Fred had to crack one tricky riddle. If there are 7 bears in a room, and each of them hugs the rest of the bears once, and only once, how many bear hugs would we get? Fred said 21 hugs, and it was the correct answer. Mr. Wilson was satisfied and gave Fred a folder with the documents needed for his dream job. Fred left the folder on the table in his office. When he came back, he noticed it was empty. Fred questioned 3 employees. All of them entered his office while he was away. Kelly said, "I took your stapler this morning. Mine was broken. Then I brought it back. I put it on the table, but I didn't touch anything else." The delivery guy who had brought something for Fred said, "I left the box in your office. That's what I was told to do." And Alice said, "I was cleaning your office and your table too, but I didn't take any documents." Fred had a fingerprint kit with him, just in case. He pulled the fingerprints from the table. He also took the fingerprints of the 3 suspects. Can you guess who stole the documents? Kelly. She said that she had only touched the stapler, but her fingerprints are on the folder as well. On the table, there are also Alice's fingerprints, but it's okay because she was cleaning it. Soon, Fred became a member of a space crew. They were originally scheduled to meet with the mothership on the surface of the moon, but due to some mechanical issues, his ship was forced to land 200 miles away from the meeting point. During landing, most of the equipment aboard was damaged. Since the team's survival depends on reaching the mothership, they should only take the most crucial items with them. Below, there are 10 items that are still intact. Fred's task is to rank them according to their importance for reaching the meeting point. Can you help him? These oxygen tanks are the most important element. The crew needs them to survive. The tanks with water should be the second priority. The stellar map is in the 3rd place. Without it, the ship will get lost. The 4th place goes to the food concentrate. The solar-powered FM receiver transmitter should be the 5th. The crew members need them to communicate with the mothership. The nylon rope gets the 6th place. It's useful in scaling cliffs and tying unconscious crew members together. The seventh most important item is the first aid kit. Number 8 is the parachute silk. The ship needs some protection from sunlight. The self-inflating life raft is the ninth, and the signal flares are the last on this list. They can be used to send a distress signal when the mothership is in sight.
Okay, well, let's have a little warm-up. How many characters do you see on the screen? Count each one. There are 8 big ones, and I hope you notice 2 little ones over there. So the answer is 10. Now look at this picture and try to find the odd image. No, it's not my picture. Yes, it's right here. Another one for you. Pay attention. Look, here it is. Now, let's make it harder. Here's a picture of many animals. Can you find 2 that are exactly the same? Here's one, and here's the other. Can you find 2 emojis that look the same here? Look, here they are. I hope you're ready. Here's a riddle for you. Adley came to a cafe to study. She ordered a hot chocolate and a croissant. She added a bit of sugar to her drink, started to drink it, and noticed there was a fly in her cup. Adley asked the waiter to get a new cup of hot chocolate. 1 minute later, the waiter brought it to her. Adley took a sip and exclaimed, "It's not a new drink, you just took the fly out." How did she understand it? Do you remember that Adley put some sugar in her hot chocolate? Well, the supposedly new drink was already sweet. Delilah went missing. The police had 3 suspects. The first one was her friend, Ellery, who was the last person spotted with Delilah. Ellery said they had gone shopping together, but afterwards they both went home. Delilah's boyfriend, Walt, said the girl hadn't come home, and he assumed she stayed at Ellery's place. The last suspect was Delilah's father, who lived in another city. He said he didn't even know he had a daughter. Who should the police arrest? They should arrest Delilah's father. He said he didn't know he had a daughter, but there's a picture of Delilah in his house. Boy, he's some father, huh? On a rainy evening, Kaya came home and found that someone had eaten her chocolate bar. How rude! She asked her siblings who had done that. Laura said she had been working out in her room and she didn't even eat sweets. Sienna said she would never eat someone else's chocolate. Harley said that she had been outside watering plants in the garden. She had just come home herself. Who lied? I'd say it was Harley. Hey, it was raining outside, so she didn't really need to water the plants. Esme was walking in the forest and guess what? Got lost. She tried to find her way back, but instead, she stumbled across a witch's house. She petted a black cat and asked the witch to take her home. But the witch had a riddle for Esme. I'll do my bad witch impression here. Look, there are 10 pencils. They are in this order. 1 pencil, 2 pencils, and then 3 and 4. Arrange them in reverse order, from 4 to 1, by moving only 1 pencil. Okay, enough of that. How can Esme do it? Esme should take the third pencil from the group of 4 and put it between the first pencil and the group of 2. Okay, now I have a maze for you. It's amazing! Can you find the way out? Yup, here it is. Help this mouse find its way to the cheese. It should go this way. Now, let's test how attentive you are. Look, here's a ball and 3 cups. I'll put the ball in here in the middle cup. Your task is to watch the ball and then tell me where it is. Ready? Go. So, where is the ball? Look, it's here. Did you get it? Now, I have 4 cups, and I'll be moving faster. I put the ball right here. Watch it. Where do you think it is? It's in here. Would you make a good detective? I have some cases for you to crack. A young girl, Juniper, was spending her evening reading a book. She didn't eat anything. She didn't drink anything. Still, she suddenly felt bad and called the doctor. It turned out she got poisoned. But how? Juniper occasionally licked her fingers when she needed to turn a page. The poison was on the book's pages. Another girl, Cicely, was poisoned too and brought to the hospital. The examination showed that she hadn't eaten or drunk anything that day. Can you figure out what poisoned her? Cicely didn't eat anything, but look, she's wearing lipstick. That's what contains poison. The police just have to figure out who gave the girl this product. Miss Virginia Dell called the police and reported that her diamond necklace had been stolen from her room. Someone had broken in by smashing the window. A detective came to her house and saw that the window was indeed shattered and the room was a mess. Do you think someone really robbed the lady, or was the whole thing staged? No one robbed Mrs. Dell. If the window had been broken from the outside, there would be glass on the floor. But the floor is clean, which means the window was broken from the inside, probably by Ms. Dell herself. During summer break, Penny's friends invited her to go camping. Penny didn't like such activities, but she also didn't want to admit that she'd rather stay at home watching TV. So she said that her parents had invited her to go to Greece with them. In reality, she stayed at home and binge-watched TV shows. Her family sent her some pictures from their vacation. Penny photoshopped herself into these photos and sent them to her friends. But when they saw the pictures, they realized that Penny wasn't in Greece. How did they figure it out? Penny is wearing the same outfit in every photo. It looks very suspicious. Mrs. Lawrence had 3 teenage daughters, Bonnie, Cassidy, and Sierra. They were all grounded and couldn't leave the house. Still, a neighbor saw one of the girls in the mall. Mrs. Lawrence came home and asked the girls what they'd been doing. Bonnie said she had been reading all day. Cassidy said that she had been painting in her room. Sierra said she'd spent the day in the garden and had just returned home. Which of the girls was in the mall? Both Cassidy and Sierra have some dirt on their shoes. That's okay for Sierra since she was in the garden. But Cassidy said she hadn't left her room, which means she lied. Yvette always wanted to get a cat, but her mom didn't allow her to have one. Once the girl found a kitten in the street and brought it home. She knew her mom would make her take it to the shelter, so she decided to hide the animal. Yvette managed to keep it for 2 weeks without her mom noticing anything. But one morning, Yvette's mom walked into her daughter's room and realized a cat lived there. So, how did she figure it out? Yvette is wearing shorts, and her legs are all scratched. Ned works in a club. His job is to check people's ID cards and not to let inside anyone suspicious or people younger than 21. Take a look at these ID cards and help Ned decide who won't get into the party today. So, what do you think about this woman here? She seems fine. Let her pass. Now take a look at this guy. What's your verdict? He lives in Wonderland. I've never heard of such a city. Let him go back to Wonderland. No clubbing tonight. What about this girl? What do you think? She seems okay. Here's another one. What would you say about her? What's your verdict? I'd say pass. What about this young lady? The month and date of her birthday seem to be reversed. I'd say something is wrong with her ID. Okay, and how about this one? Yes or no? He's just 17 years old. Definitely a no-no. Okay, how about something a bit harder? Rhett was driving to a neighboring city when one of his car tires went flat. He stopped to change it, but accidentally dropped all the 4 bolts used to fasten the wheel down the drain. Butterfingers. The guy didn't have any extra bolts to fix the wheel and to drive to the nearest service station. It was also a deserted road. No one traveled there, and Rhett's phone had run out of battery. What can this guy do to fix his car and get to the service station? Well, there's one solution. He can take 1 bolt from each of the other 3 wheels and use those 3 bolts to attach the 4th wheel. It must be enough to reach the place where he can get qualified help. Eve is taking part in a lottery. She has all the winning numbers written on a piece of paper. She can still participate and no one will stop her. But if Neva participates, she will have the same chances of winning as everyone else. Why? Neve just wrote down all the possible numbers that might be drawn. She still doesn't know which ones exactly will be chosen, so it doesn't affect her chances. Now imagine you're a bus driver. This bus driver is driving through a small town. There are 7 passengers inside the bus. At the first stop, the driver picks up 5 more passengers and 1 person gets off the bus. At the second stop, the driver picks up 8 more passengers and 9 get off the bus. At the third stop, the rest of the passengers get off the bus. How old is the bus driver? Well, it seems confusing, but the answer is simple. As I said in the beginning, you are the bus driver. So, how old are you? Wow, that old?